Hello.
How's it going, sir?
How's it going, boss?
All right,
Shit.
so Go Metro happens to be the first guest that is making his comeback onto the show, and so soon we had the double podcast with you and Guap the Guru.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Absolutely. So I wanted to get the opportunity to also interview you individually.
Of course, I feel like I really wanted that opportunity as well because I have a lot more to elaborate on. Maybe
Unpack.
you know,
Yeah.
you're right.
Cool. So what I'll do is just ask you to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from.
Yeah. So, go Metro. I'm from the Bronx, New York, born and raised, and I mean that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
you. Cool.
Yeah, that's me. Go Metro from the Bronx.
Now, from there, let's dig a little bit into your experience with getting into music. Was it your friends and family? Was it the situation that you were in? Or was it a specific artist that you looked highly upon?
Right. So I remember in the last interview that we did with Bob, I touched on this a little bit.
Yeah.
With my So being born and raised in the Bronx, right? I was raised with my mom and my two sisters. So any of the songs that would come on the radio, sisters would sing it, and I would sing along with them, just naturally. And that's when I started seeing that I could actually sing and I had a voice. And that's something I would constantly do. Whether it be at school, walking down the block, I'll be always singing. I was known as the guy that just always sang, you know.
Sure.
So as far as getting into music, my first time stepping in a booth, actually, I was in San Diego, and my friend, he's also an artist. His name is Donnie Az. Shout out to Donnie Az. He's an amazing artist, actually, a really good rapper from South Florida. And yeah, I saw him doing his thing. He was on his grind. He had, I think, 7 songs out at the time, 8 songs out, a whole music video. And he was a really close friend of mine. And he had landed a gig with Designer, as an opener at a Designer concert. And it was exciting. I actually went to that and I saw him on stage and I was like, holy shit, it looks awesome. I want to be there. So he was my main inspiration to actually start getting into music, getting into the booth. So after I saw him do his gig, the very next day I actually went to the booth with him. And one thing led to another. It's been an addiction ever since. It's like I'm like a crack addict when it comes to the booth. I love being in the studio.
And I think, everybody shares, hopefully, that level of passion, that from at least my experience doing, video and editing, we'd shoot at 7 p.m., get done at, let's call it 11, drive home, it's midnight. And I couldn't sleep because I was so excited to edit, that next Freestyle Friday.
Really? So you had that same amount of passion into just the videos and interviews and
everything? And I'd shoot because my turnaround is crazy because I enjoy it so much, and I think that's one of the ways that I was able to get so far is because my turnaround, I would go to a venue and with my Sony, I had Wi-Fi, right? So I could basically I could take a photo, send the photo to my phone, edit it on Lightroom, and then airdrop it to the artist or DJ under a minute.
Oh, wow.
Right?
I mean, talk about quick turnaround.
Yeah, and in some cases, I'd bring my laptop, and I'd be at a bar with my laptop, just finishing work. And that's the thing that's so interesting about the entertainment business. Anything good happens quickly. And it's when preparation, meets opportunity.
Right. It's when it all finally lines up, right? It's like because you've been putting all this hard work and you can see the effort in your work.
Sure.
right? It gets down to the right people
Yeah, and something
viewing,
that I
listening.
had to account for is because I did go to school for business management. I look at myself as a consultant. I understand promotion and media and filming is a part of that promotion, but I made a mistake of not considering myself an artist as well. That when I got contacted by Capitol Records and QC through Coach K and that whole group, and they said, "Hey, you've got an eye." And when one of the representatives called me from Capitol to send me, the plane tickets and everything, he said, "Hey, I'm calling for an artist." And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. And in my mind, I was like, "Well, I'm not an artist. I'm a videographer."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't connect the dots. He's like, "Oh, okay. Like, talk to your contact and get back to me." So I kind of almost missed that opportunity in a sense. And obviously, due to the virus, everything got shut down. But, that is something that I've had to overcome, as a videographer because, you know, to be a good videographer, 98% of that is you being an artist yourself. So
Right.
talk about that a little bit. Like as far as your team, do you have any videographers around you? Have you ever had experiences with different videographers?
As far as videographers, none in particular. No, I haven't really been into doing any videos or things with media quite yet. It's mainly been just in the studio cranking out trying to get some content together. Maybe I just finished my project. Now I'm working on these singles. As far as visuals and working on my look, those are things I'm still in the process of doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I'm here for. That not only am I reaching out to people to chop it up and provide content, and my major agenda, and I would like to ask everybody who's listening to please subscribe. That this is my way to hit 1,000, and definitely all of Go Metro's links will also be down in the description. Could you please let
Mm-hmm.
everybody know where they can find you?
Of course, Go Metro is GOMETRO, just exactly how it sounds, all one word. And you can find me on Instagram and SoundCloud at the moment through just that exact name alone.
Awesome. And I know I typically throw that in at the end, and I'm going to try to do better about getting it earlier in the podcast. So I touched on the video production team or lack thereof. Now, what about management? What about that angle in your career? Have you dealt with any managers? Like, who is your team? Talk about the people that help you be successful.
So I would say it's basically me and Guap. Honestly, we're the two-man team. Guap has definitely helped me, not just in the studio, as because he is my engineer and my
Yeah.
producer. Um, but also with anything like knowledge-wise when it comes to releasing certain projects and learning how to navigate that field as well. Guap is basically my manager, I could say. Shit.
Dope. Dope.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
shout out to Guap,
we're
and
really
I've
close.
got
We're
him
really
coming
close.
on Saturday for his own individual thing. Do you have any questions for him that would be good for me to remember for his episode? Because
Mm,
typically for the first interviews, I try to keep it pretty basic. That I try to ask basic questions, and then if the vibe is strong and we go in different directions, great.
right.
But definitely with the follow up, it can go in different directions, and that's one thing that I've never really experienced is having guests back. But we're still on your individual episode now. But I mean, what's something that I wouldn't know about Guap that would be a good question to ask?
I mean, he's definitely a very interesting person. I feel like you can ask him anything, and he could definitely answer it for you. I'm not sure of any questions in
I'm
particular,
just trying to talk to an
but
insider. I'm trying to
his
get some reconnaissance. I'm doing my first reference due diligence here, man.
let's see. Because
Like,
his background in music is very, very robust. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
been doing it
yeah.
for a super long time. And yeah, man, I just I asked that man any question.
All right. So, moving on from your team and your environment
Hmm.
onto your projects, things that you're working on more short term, and then we can kind of move towards long term aspects.
Yeah, sure.
So, what would you say is your current project? Do you have any release dates, or have you released something
Yeah.
recently?
So my most recent project is Exodus. I don't know if you saw it on my account. Did you see it on my account?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So Exodus is my most recent project that I worked on. It has 6 tracks on it. It's an EP. It took me 8 months to get done. Believe it or not, with the work schedule that I have and everything going on, it took me a very long time to get that project done and like sounding the way we wanted it to sound. Um, but yeah, I'm very very happy with the way it turned out. And like I said, shout out to Guap because he did his thing on there. He executive
Okay,
produced the
okay.
entire
So
thing.
yeah, that's originally how I got hip to you, is
Hmm.
through seeing the post of Exodus. This podcast has been a whirlwind, dude. That it's I have conversations with people, and then we talk about so many things. So which song would you say is your favorite? So
Ooh,
here are the 6 tracks. Timeless, Hold It Down, uh what's that? What?
Percocet.
Percocet,
Yeah,
Played, Sexual Favors, and Dead Inside. What would you say that you would recommend people to listen to?
yeah. I would say my personal favorite would be Dead Inside, the very last track on the project,
Okay.
and it's mainly because the experience that I had while writing that song. I was in a very very dark place, and I was able to really portray that in my words that I used in that song. Um, but as far as fan favorite, I would say Timeless. Timeless is a lot more of
A banger.
a banger. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I need to get a feature on my podcast, that cuz I've had one other artist ask me if I could preview their music live on the podcast. That would be a nice feature. But I would have to have people send me the wave files beforehand so then I could queue that up. But the most interesting thing, dude, is that this isn't the last time that we can have a conversation. That if you're free next week, you could email me all your wave files, and then I could queue them up, and then we could do some sort of album review style or album reaction or something. you know um if you would be interested in doing that, making some content and get a raw reaction as well, that it would, like I said, it would be a legitimate reaction. Because for me, I'm not a DJ, right? That's something that I always tell a lot of the DJs and artists that I'm working with, that I'm not the music guy. I'm the media production. Uh, I in no means am a musician, right?
Okay. So you
And
don't have any songs.
what's up?
You don't have any songs of your own or things that you're working on like that, right?
No, like I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of guy. Like in my own, personal life, I primarily listen to podcasts. I listen to Joe
Oh,
Rogan or
yeah.
like different, scientific documentary type of things. Like I constantly like to be learning, right? Um and I want to be able to feature, now with this podcast, not only artists, but athletes, entrepreneurs. Um, I have a stock, like a stock slash crypto guy coming on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
So a very wide range. And like I said, I've been wanting to test out being able to preview or react to people's music. And what's dope about it is, since it's your music, it's not like you're gonna copyright flag my video, right?
Yeah, no,
You
no,
know, because we have a relationship. Um, so I definitely think that's a potential idea. I've had someone locally that wanted me to do it, but I don't know. I want it to be my idea. I don't because it's like at a certain point it gets pretty sticky. That I'm
right.
cool with like offering, but I hate being told what to do. That it's like that's such a turn off.
Told what to do as far as what, like how and when you listen to it, what you have to say.
Well, no, not so much that, but when people like ask for um what would I say? Like for example, like right now I'm only doing audio based podcasts. Some people are asking, "Hey, would you be willing to do a Zoom podcast, with a video element?" Right?
Right. Yeah, I've been on Zoom before.
Yeah, and for me, I am really enjoying the relaxation of an audio only podcast, right? I don't have to mess with lighting, I don't have to mess with cameras.
Right. Like right now,
That
I'm just
for
chilling
the
outside,
past
sitting on a chair,
yeah,
smoking.
and for the past 3 to 4 years, I had been using, a 3 camera setup for the past 3 years. So I'm kinda, having a little bit of a, vacation from the in-person grind, and I do also wanna eventually test out Zoom that, people like you, people like Guap, people like Mike SB, people that would be on the channel consistently and we have a
Mhm.
relationship, yeah, sure, I could see doing Zoom. But like just having to do everyone on Zoom, I
Yeah, it's a
feel
lot of work,
yeah.
especially the amount of content that you're working with.
Yeah, and especially, like I said, my agenda right now is to acquire 1,000 subscribers. That's my goal right now. But
Right.
that's when I start to be monetized. That's not making a living. And right now we're primarily focused on building the studio. So that's
Mhm.
definitely a big part. Financially. Um,
Right.
but with the virus, I mean, I interviewed an artist out in LA that lives on Hollywood Boulevard, and he was willing to fly out to do an in person interview,
Wow.
and that type of I don't even know what you would consider that. Like I said earlier, the entertainment business moves quickly, you know, and I
Mhm.
love that. But from another standpoint, coming from California, riding on planes, is right now a good time to do in person interviews? In addition to, we're under construction. So,
Oh.
what am I going to have them, where are they going to sleep? Are they going to like rent a hotel? Are they going to crash on the futon in the studio? You know, uh, can I trust people in the studio that's just flying in from
Right. So
wherever?
yeah, like random people that you
You
got
know,
coming in.
that's
Right.
like, what is
Yeah.
an appropriate level of business? And if it's just an interview, it's not like I'm getting paid for producing it. I'm
Right.
just
So,
doing it
so you
because
shouldn't.
we're friends, to make
Mhm.
content. The same reason why we're doing this interview right now, that I'm just trying to be friendly, and help with value add, you know, um, for sure. So I digress. We kind of took a, we kind of took a
Yeah. I
turn
mean,
there.
whatever direction that
Yeah,
you were
but
going
that's what's dope about the podcast that with an interview, it's all about you. But with a podcast, the conversation can go both ways and it's more of an open form platform.
in. I never thought about it like that. I never really looked into the differences.
Yeah. And as much as I like to talk to people, I also like to talk. And
Right.
it's nice to be able to cross market and promote and help other people. So after this project took you these past several months, what are you
Mhm.
looking forward to? Like you mentioned, you hadn't done any visuals. Is there visuals in your
Right.
future?
not planned. Not that I know of currently. I want to work on a video for one of the tracks that I have on the project. But I feel like before I do that, there's a lot of things that I have to do personally, as far as like work on my look, things like that, and get in contact with the right people, the right videographers that I know will do good work with, the footage that they have.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Guap said he knew a couple people, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Guap has like a few videographers that he referred me to.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more long-term facing. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
Or anything else on your mind?
Not really. I mean, how's your day been? How's life been going for you recently?
Well,
how about that?
In the pool the past few days, enjoying myself, doing a little fishing near our house.
Oh, fish?
Yeah, a little bit. We've got a little pond, and it's our neighbor's pond technically. So where we do have a little path to the lake, the ground is very steep, so it's kind of uncomfortable to fish, and there's trees overhead, and the fish are real small. It's kind of the runoff for the larger pond, so it's kind of, but it's nice to relax. I can't complain. And
that's what I need. I need a pond or a lake that I can just go out to and relax at.
Yeah, and we're on about an acre and a half. The road in front of our house is like 55 miles per hour. We're about 45 minutes outside of Cincinnati in Stonelick, Ohio. And so, it's pretty rural, and my grandmother has property in the city, and I, spent a lot of my childhood in the city, and have a lot of friends out there. But obviously, due to the virus, nothing's going on.
Yeah.
How has that affected your life? Yeah.
Oh, the virus?
Yeah.
Not at all, actually, because I'm an essential worker over here in the city. So.
What do you do?
I work at a market at the moment. We're working at a market, making oil companies throughout the entire night. It's like demanding work. But like I said, we're workers, so I've been working throughout the whole pandemic. So to me, the virus hasn't really changed or affected my life at all. It's been regular days,
Yeah.
What I've been doing.
Yeah. You're essential.
Right. I've been outside. I've been everywhere.
Yeah. And I also want to reiterate to everybody that if you haven't yet, please subscribe. I'll also be linking all of the links down in the description. Could you let everybody know again where they can find you?
Of course, Go Metro. So just type in Go Metro either on Instagram or SoundCloud, and you got me. GOMETRO.
Great. And then if you guys haven't, definitely go check out the double podcast that we did, well, a little bit over a couple weeks ago, at least how the schedule is going to go. And you'll be able to hear from both Go Metro and Guap the Guru. So definitely stay tuned for those episodes. And I want to thank you again for coming out, man.
Yeah, well, that's
cool.
I was asking, that's it, the interview?
Yeah, I mean, we can, we can continue talking. Do you have anything else on your mind?
I mean, as far as the project itself, and doing music beforehand, how do I explain this? So pretty much 2.5 years ago is when I started working on getting in the booth and actually making content, right?
Yeah.
And if you go back into my SoundCloud and in my history, you can see the old tracks that I have on there from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, posted up. And if you listen to those compared to the newest projects that I worked on, it's a major difference as far as like sound, and it's kind of laughable. It's kind of embarrassing actually how bad my music used to be. But I feel like Guap definitely helped me find my sound and get comfortable with just actually forcing myself to play with the different melodies and tunes. And yeah, it's kind of embarrassing actually, but I wanted to mention that just, so you can look back at that and see how horrible my music was.
How did you record it back then? What was the software? What was the mic?
It was I was actually at a studio up in Jersey.
Okay.
And it was a Jewish woman by the name of Cassie. And she was actually my first engineer. And it was actually a really good, well-built studio in home. She had a whole entire room with a nice mic, a nice setup. It's just that I guess our difference in culture and taste and everything just really showed. It really showed in the music.
Just think about producer Kathy. If Little Mosley or all of these young rappers go to Kathy and just get a song dropped by her, how dope would that be?
Right. That would be, yeah. I mean, a song drop by anybody would be amazing at this point, right?
Yeah. Because you've never heard of a producer Kathy in the industry.
No.
Isn't that great?
Like a Jewish woman going around producing beats for everybody.
Yeah, or how everybody's talking about Karens. It's like a Karen the producer. Dude, that could be a viral sensation. There's
a lot of Karens in the industry though that have big names.
Yeah. You know. But think about it. Do an in-home life vlog of Karen the producer. It's just some. It's okay, all right. It's it's like Love and Hip Hop meets the Desperate Stepwives, or what is that? Desperate Housewives or something.
Desperate Housewives. There we go.
Yeah. I don't know. I hardly watch TV. What do you watch a lot of? Like how I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts. What do you listen to on a daily basis?
Definitely any of the new releases as far as music goes. So, whenever I hear Juice WRLD dropping a project or anybody in the hip hop R&B game, I'm always keeping up with music for this. Even if I don't know the artist, if I see if they're dropping a project, I definitely tune in and see what sounds they're working with.
Yeah.
Because I try and draw my inspirations, a little bit from everybody.
Sure. And do you, when you record, do you freestyle or do you write, or what's your process when you record?
As far as my writing process in general, my recording process is a bit different from how people normally write their song beforehand to a beat that they hear and make things work from there. But what I've done for this entire project is what I do is take voice notes throughout the week, right?
Oh, voice notes. Okay.
Go by, I have my little voice notes that I reference to, and the voice note, what it is what I'm feeling in the moment, whether it be a good feeling or a bad feeling, and I just have a really good flow to what I'm saying in my head. So I voice note that down, and then on the weekend when I meet Guap, we just cycle through the voice notes, and whichever one sounds more catchy or what I want to work on, we go from there. So he produces the entire beat off of the one voice note, and I sit there and I sit there with him and listen to the beat, and I'm writing as he's making the beat. For the rest of the song, I'm writing to the beat that he's making pretty much, and going off the voice note and what I'm feeling.
Okay, so you kind of have an ambidextrous type of approach that you kind of can do a little bit of everything.
Right.
Nice. That's dope. Have there been any obstacles, other than obviously the pretty graphic story that we covered? Other than that, and everybody's got to check out the Dual podcast to hear that story.
Oh yeah.
But what other obstacles? What other obstacles have you met?
Just in general, trying to balance, because I do work so much and I'm always very busy. Just trying to find and dedicate all that extra time that I do have, or the little bit of time I do have towards music, finding that good balance. I would say that's an obstacle for sure. But and just in general, living in the city is an obstacle because there's things happen every day that are so unexpected that
Yeah. Anything can happen.
Take you by storm. Just like I think 2 days ago, 4 dudes tried to rob me from my car.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay, say it again.
2 days ago, 4 dudes tried to rob me from my car, but I wasn't having that. I fucking heard it, but yeah.
Yeah, because the crime. I mean, I don't like to get political, but the crime rate is up right now.
Yeah. I think Corona has everybody a little happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're very lucky that you have an essential job. So that's, thank God for that. Yeah, I mean, I've only really gone to Sam's once this year. So I've been in pretty good shape. Even before the whole virus, I'd go and buy 5 or 6 cases of water at a time anyways. All I drink is water. I don't have pop in the house. And that's just how I do things, Do you drink a lot of pop?
Do
you drink a lot of pop?
Do I drink a lot of pop?
Or what do you guys call it in New York?
Well, pop is soda, right? You guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't call it pop. We just call it soda. I don't think we have like a word for it.
Okay, soda, Coke. So do you drink a lot of soda?
When I go out to like restaurants or when I'm eating somewhere, I always order like a soda.
Okay.
Well, I'm at home now. It's just water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're having soda talk. All right. So I asked you about your relationship with Guap. You talked about your obstacles. You just said balance. You're getting stood up for your car. I mean, man, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that situation, in your past, have you experienced other violence?
Yeah. 3 weeks ago, my bro actually got stabbed 8 times. And
jeez.
And yeah, I was there for it. I was able to. Luckily, I got that in the nick of time to help him.
Wow.
But I mean, it's just a bunch of random things like that.
And you said you're in Brooklyn?
I'm in the Bronx.
The Bronx. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I was there this past year on a Sony like mini tour. It was kind of like a private, 40-person room or something. Mm-hmm. And so I got to visit New York. I don't believe it was my first time, but it was my first time as an adult. My grandmother, my grandpa were both immigrants, displaced people from Germany. So they came in through Ellis Island and, started their life in America through New York. So it was nice to kind of get a tour. You've got work at 6. We kind of have been all over the place with this podcast. The second podcast often do get wild. I think picking up where we were off, I was talking about my previous trip to New York, and I got the Yankee hat, and finally got to meet that dream.
Yeah, did you see the Yankees or not?
No, but as I don't want to consider myself a tourist because obviously I was there for business, but it was just at a lid shop. It had like I believe it's let me look at it. On the side of it, I got the oldest World Series. It's the 1936 World Series patch on the side.
It's pretty dope.
It was on the top shelf under a bunch of dust. And I was like, yeah, I like the design of the other one, but it's kind of nice to just have the first one and be like, all right, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I used to be a big hat guy.
Tell me about your interests. Do you have any interest in sports?
Honestly, none, no.
Yeah, same here. I kind of feel bad because obviously baseball isn't so violent, but with all the brain damage, it's kind of like, do we live in an intelligent society that, on a turn of a dime can just go, hey, all right, the data's out. Kids as young as Pee-wee football are getting brain damage. This probably isn't the best thing for us all to, sure, people need to relax after a day of work and everything, but we're talking about brain damage for the rest of your life that affects all of your decision making.
Right, right.
Um,
I never looked at it in that particular view, but I mean, it makes perfect sense, right?
and then
Why
how
would we
can you
continue to?
watch it? Because watching it is endorsing it.
It's the dream.
Yep.
Uh huh.
Yep. So we're coming up around 36 minutes. Once again, I would like to thank everybody, for checking out the podcast. Definitely subscribe if you haven't. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
I mean, no, we touched on a lot of things. I just
Sure,
want to thank you for reaching out and.
Yeah, and I really don't know about the flow of these second round podcasts because a lot of the same questions that I ask are the same questions I ask on the individual. So it's kind of like I'm entering into uncharted waters that as much as I give opportunity to artists and athletes and others to experience their first podcast, this is also in some cases my own first experience.
Right,
So
right.
that's where I get some leniency and I'm able to learn from this process as well. That I definitely think the bigger that I get, it was nice working with the previous company that I did, having DJs, having my partner that was a big hip hop fan, that I was really able to run everything through him. And then I was really able to, that research side of the company, on my, which was more of my partner's end of the business, right? But I, in the future, would like to have a bigger show, with multiple hosts or, to be able to do more just general commentary because it's nice
Right.
to, interview people, but I feel like, it's kind of
You just
fake.
want to be able to speak on the music,
Yeah,
pretty much, like when
and I
albums come
feel,
out or anything
because
like
that's just not my side of things, and when you look at, let's say the Breakfast Club, it's different personalities for different things, you know and I really like that aspect, and that's what I tried to do with the radio station when I worked with them. That they had a girl that worked there, Tropicana, that was just super dope, and I'm like, hey, you got to bring her on to co-host, but the DJ only wanted it to be him. We even had an opportunity to go up to Power 105 up in Columbus, but they wanted to do it with their own DJ and have us produce it, and our DJ at our home station wouldn't let us move on
Right,
to
because you guys are all a
that
team.
that but he was also a DJ for that station, so he was kind of like, well, hell, like if I'm a DJ for Columbus, and that's where his cousin works as well, so he had the family connection, and I'm loyal, so at the end of the day it is what it is. But we almost made it to 2 cities, but we did 28 series or 29 series and then one cipher with 4 or 5 people in the